How's it
You're
going,
on.
Phil?
Good, Earl. Really good seeing you.
Good seeing you too. So, saw your inquiry about online relationships, and a couple of different things interested me in this. And obviously, you're one of the people that kind of got me into doing a lot of things online. So, to end, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Uh, so, one of the things that's neat and cool about it is the fact that you can build these relationships across the globe now. That it truly has become a worldwide community, not just a local niche. It used to be if I went out and was looking for expertise, I had my local community is the people I knew. It's the groups I normally hung out in, and so that's what knowledge I had. Now it's gone to where I can reach out across the globe and talk to people. And just yesterday I posted a note out in a forum space and just said, "Hey, I had this occurrence happen. Tell me your view of this. How did it work? How did you see is this the way you would interpret a set of policies or a set of methodologies, and how did you work within it?" So, that's been a great thing. The downside, I think, to some of these online relationships is sometimes you get folks who maybe are not the best for you. So that's kind of the thing that when we talked about this a little bit earlier, kind of that I wanted to bring up is sometimes you have to shed people in online relationships, and that's sometimes a tough thing to do because people maybe take a Facebook friendship a little deeper than it's intended to be. So it's a hard thing too when you know somebody and going, hey, look, I just can't have you posting things on the page, my page in my space that makes me look worse than or looks to cast me in a bad light. Now, and one of the things I think is important to point out, it's important to understand that if somebody's got a difference of opinion, that's perfectly fine, and those should be cultivated, for lack of a better term. I think we get in this country, we've gotten away from a good, sensible debate. Um, that we don't do the things that people need to or used to do back 20, 30 years ago to really learn and understand the context of a topic and then having meaningful discussion about it. We're working in sound bites, and I think that's truly causing a detriment to how people think and learn about the world. So, but you have to understand if when you've got somebody who is doing nothing but constantly arguing with you online or doing something like disparaging everything you say, you have to start asking the question: is that person valuable for the people who follow me to see? Am I causing, is there, am I causing reputation or brand issues to me by allowing that conversation to go forward? In one case, I had a person, very good friend, had best interest at heart, but I had to basically say, nope, you're no longer a Facebook friend because all you're doing is posting negative comments about the things I'm doing from an exercise and eating perspective. You're not supporting me and helping me do the things I need to do to change my lifestyle. And so it is I think the person was trying to, in their best interest, help motivate me, but they were going about it in a way that just made me feel worse all the time. So I had to go, you know what? No longer. I'm done. I'm not going to have that type of relationship. Recently did the same thing with another person on Facebook that I know fairly well that every time I posted anything that had just the slightest bit of political intrigue about it, immediately you come back with, you're wrong, you don't know what you're talking about, I have all this experience,
Mhm.
da da da. And I just went, I just don't need that. If we're not going to have a debate about an issue and give the opportunity to see somebody else's point of view, I don't need to have that relationship and foster that discussion any further that way.
Yeah, that's a great point, Earl. So let's talk a little bit about that line, right, and how that sometimes gets crossed. Because I think, when we're talking about making friends first, we have to remember that they are need to stay our friends. And just because we're not friends with them online doesn't mean we're not friends with them. So let's talk a little bit through your thought process, because I'm probably going to ask this question of a lot of people. How do you define a friend offline? How do you define a friend online? And then how do you decide if they're a good fit for both places for you? Don't think I'm not driving at anything here. I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, friendship personally is a very tricky thing for me because I'm an introvert by nature. So I don't make a lot of friends easily, or you have to do a lot of work on your part to get into my inner circle of close friends. I can probably tell you I've got my close friends can probably count it on 1 to 2 hands. Uh, so that's just the way I work internally, and I think that's one of those things. Again, are you an introvert versus an extrovert? Those things personally influence how you make and maintain people around you. Online, the term friendship a little bit bothers me on using it in an online context from the standpoint of there are people I've never met who want to be friends with me. Okay, if I've never met you, why do I don't understand that. The same thing is, oh, I've never met you in a professional context, but I want to connect with you on a product I won't say over the air here. But, I, I don't get it. There should be some context in the online realm of why I want to connect with you. At the same point in time as I can sit there and go, there are family members that maybe I don't want to be friends with in a social media influence, just because of maybe I don't want them knowing everything I'm doing, or having the ability to input of that's not the way I would raise a child, or that's not the car I'd buy, whatever it is. So it is a tricky balance. I think you have to understand, this goes back to, I think, of looking at people like Hal Elrod and Michael Hyatt and saying, what is my personal mission in life? Am I living to my mission? Am I fulfilling that purpose? And does that person have a connection to helping me fulfill that purpose?
That's really helpful. So a friend doesn't necessarily have to be someone we know, but it does have to be someone that we think can help us fulfill our purpose, either by us serving them or by them serving us. Would you think
Absolutely.
that right? Okay.
Yes.
Good. Just want to make sure I'm clear on what you said there. So okay, so that makes a lot of sense. So let's talk about how people get on the outside of your friendship zone. Because being an introvert, I mean, obviously you and I are very different, Earl. We're still friends, but the fact that you're an introvert really will help me understand and help people when they read this, when they learn about this. How does someone, once they do get in, because you said you only have 10 to 20 really close friends in the inner circle, how does somebody then kind of make their way out? How do they break that trust, for lack of a better term?
Well, it is exactly how you said. They break a trust. From an introvert perspective, and again, I'll give you my personal view of the world. I can't speak for every introvert out there, but personal view is that, I put a high value on, do I trust you with the things I'm telling you? And when you break that trust, I'll only let that happen maybe twice. Most of the time, it's not. It's one time and it's done. Uh, it depends on the friend, it depends on the circumstance, obviously, but you have to look at it and ask the questions it's number one, it's hard to gain that trust for me just because I'm an introvert and I tend to be a little more closed off in that arena. So getting trust overall is a hard thing it takes a lot of effort on the other person's part to get that trust, and it may take you several attempts before you get it from me. At the same point in time is if you show me that you're going to be trustworthy, you'll have my loyalty, and that's the thing that then I look to, how can I be loyal to that person? How can I help that person? And getting to play off our example, is Phil, you being an extrovert and an introvert, and you came up to me and said, "Hi, how you doing? I'm Phil. Da da da. How can I help you?" And that immediately bonded and go, okay, I've got somebody here who's, I can reach out to and talk to and say, hey, I've got this, and that's been the way the relationships worked for several years now, is that, Phil, I got this idea. What if you do this? What if I did that? And you come right back with these things. But had you looked at me over the corner and went, I don't know who that guy is, I'm not even going to talk to him, we wouldn't be having this conversation today, because I wouldn't know who Phil Gerbishak is and what he was about and what he was trying to do. Because it's just not wired into my nature to go, oh, let me go find out about that person.
Cool. So to me then, that says that social media allows you to add value first, so that then introverts can be a little more comfortable with that. Not just, as you said, not just the hi, how are you doing, but then beyond that, it's the I have value to add to your life, Earl. Let's connect. So maybe social media might make that actually easier to connect with introverts, often who are decision makers, who are buying products, buying services, and making decisions about the business. Would you say?
Absolutely. 'Cause, again, I think back to, for those of you who are fans of The Big Bang Theory, and you've seen Raj, and he had the one girl who was a bit of an extreme introvert, and they started off by texting each other. That built that level of trust because they got into that relationship that way. And it's the exact same thing is I'm going out there and conversing with people on Twitter or LinkedIn and getting to know them and what they think and how they think. And then when I meet them in real life, it's like, oh, okay, cool. You're this person, and I know how you think and act already. Um, and to an extent, that's the majority of the time true. There's always exceptions to the rule, and then it's the same thing is I'm probably not the complete package I always try to display online, which is not fair to the people who are interacting and following me. Um, we have to sit down and think about it. What is, and it becomes that old age old, is the person online really the person I'm talking to, or the old cartoon is nobody knows you're a dog on the internet. So we have
That's
to
fun.
we have to go through and think through all of that and say, am I portraying myself? And this goes back to the whole, what's my purpose in life? Am I living my value stream? And so am I portraying myself in an online realm the way I would in a not online realm?
Yeah, the congruency factor. That's really big, connecting the offline and the online. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, that's definitely a part of making friends because if you don't, if you're not, if you're different, people are going to feel that difference. They're going to sense that. And they're probably not going to be friends with you.
Absolutely. And I think it's the same thing. Is people will quickly, I can't tell in an online realm if somebody's genuine or not. I have to meet them to understand that. So that's one of those things that I can have a great online relationship with some people because their information is valuable to me, but I may meet them in person and go, ooh, not somebody I'd hang out with because their value stream is so different. So I think that's kind of the reverse, is where it's like, yeah, I'll friend you online, but I'd never be with you, a friend with you in
Hmm,
real life. Um,
interesting.
so I think those are kind of things that, when I look at it and going, how do I be me in an online world so that what you see is what you get when you meet me in a real face-to-face situation.
Cool. So, all right. So, along those same lines, would you ever do business with someone that you'd never met offline?
Oh, I think we do that all the time through, just, I've never met anybody at Amazon. I do business with them all the time. And I don't know if that's the specific instance you were going to, but it's. I think this is a world now where we're looking at it and saying that I've got all this online commerce and transaction happening, and I have some faith in that it's going to be uh, uh, done in an appropriate way. But now we've seen recently, and my security officer and I were talking the other day, and it's kind of like, it's not a question of when the data breach is going to happen. Or not a question of if the data breach is going to happen. It's when the data breach is going to happen. You look at Target and what happened a few months ago with them, and they've lost a lot of trust and faith in their consumers because of that data breach. My expectation, if I'm working in that online mode, is that people are going to keep my information safe and secure. Now, I have a piece of that, just like the company has a piece of it. So we both have to do our parts to make sure that we're doing the right things to keep the data safe and secure. But yeah, I do business all the time with people I've never met. Now, would I enter into something that's what I would deem a high risk proposition for me with somebody I've never met? Probably not. So I wouldn't buy a house over the internet. I wouldn't buy a car over the internet. Things like that. There's things I'd have to go see and touch and feel, and to feel comfortable making it happen.
Okay, that's good. So that's good to understand. So, t- what what makes someone trustworthy online to you, Earl? How do you get to trust someone online?
Yeah. So again, is that's a really tricky question, and I don't know that I'm going to have a good answer for you, Phil.
That's okay.
Um, it's how do I trust somebody online? Is I'm looking at the things they post. Are they posting things that are they posting things that are valuable to me? Number one, if they're valuable to me, then I'm putting a layer of trust and faith into them to continue to do that. Uh, are they things, again, are they people I know in real life that I already have a trust level with? Uh, that's obviously a factor. Again, it's primarily looking at what's the content and is there value in the content I'm seeing out of this person, and maybe to an extent, can I, and I guess maybe this is I extend trust to a point to where I can extend trust, if that makes sense. So in other words, if I'm looking at Phil's stream of information, he's posting all these valuable things, and all of a sudden I'm seeing, the 14 different spam ads pop into my mailbox. And do I go, maybe this is not the guy I thought he was, or more than likely go, oh, Phil's been hacked. Let me send him a message to let him know what's going on. But if it continues, going, okay, Phil's not been hacked. He's purposely doing this. Maybe I don't want to stay in this stream any longer or connected to it. So I don't know if I've got a really good methodology other than saying I look at the data that's being presented to me, and if there's value in the data stream, and I can put up with the shenanigans that may occur in an online realm, then I'm good.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes perfect sense. Cool. Trying to think of anything else, because that helps a lot, Earl. I funny, right? I forget, because you're pretty active on social. I sometimes forget that you're an introvert. So that's been really helpful for me to remember that you have kind of obviously the different lens than I do. So that's really good. I don't know that I have anything else specific to ask. Do you have anything specific you want to add that I missed?
No, I think that covered it. Again, I think this is one of those that the social media realm gives people opportunity to get out there and explore and take chances that they don't normally take. And I think it's like anything else. You got to understand the risk you're taking when you're online in these arenas. If your natural tendency is to be argumentative, figure out how to do that in a respectful way. If your tendency is to be quiet, jump in there on occasion and say something so people just know that you're there and not lurking. Not that there's anything bad with lurking. I learn a lot by lurking. But at the same point in time, people need to know that I'm part of the community. I'm there to contribute. So I think you just have to go out there and, the biggest thing I would sit there and recommend to anybody in social media space is be yourself. Don't try to portray yourself as something you are or are not in an online realm.
That's good. That's good. So cool. Well, that's really good, Earl. I really appreciate that. I don't know that I have anything else, but I really appreciate you taking some time for me, man. That's gonna help. That's gonna help me a lot. So my goal is to do 25 to 50 of these before I write the book, so that I have some stories, so that I have some anecdotes. Obviously, your piece I will send you. You're welcome to say, hey, just anonymize me with this, or hey, here's how I want to be credited. I'm perfectly fine with that. Either way, I promise. My goal is not to not to necessarily obviously give away your secrets, but certainly is to credit you in any way that you see fit, and to show people kind of the different side, because I like I said, I'm going to be writing it from an introvert's point of view, or from an extrovert's point of view, and from someone who obviously trusts a lot online, but I know not everybody's that way. So I'm guessing you're probably going to be right in the middle of people. I'm hoping to talk to some folks that don't trust online as well. So if you know anybody like that, that's like, and not to be funny, even like if it's your parents or your wife or somebody who won't do business online, and I talk to them, and they don't have to necessarily be on camera, right? I'm just doing this because it's easy and it records just in time.
Yeah, let me think on that,
Sure.
because again, it's interesting. It's interesting from the standpoint of watching my parents, and my dad is willing to attempt to try things online, and the technology baffles him sometimes. So it's more of a this is how you do it type thing, versus mom typically will not engage herself in the technology simply because dad's trying to tell her what to do, and it just doesn't, her brain doesn't function that way. So I don't think it's, because again, she's adopted and likes online bill paying, but she just don't want to do it because of the hassle of dealing. And I think there's a factor there of I don't have the bill in my hand, that I don't have that physical piece of paper that ensures I feel good about life.
Mm.
So, and part of that I think is a cultural thing from the standpoint this is not the world they grow up in. If I looked at my son, I would sit there and say that he is trusting of just about everybody online, that he doesn't think anything bad's going to happen to his data, even though we routinely talk about such things. So, uh,
That's
so
good. No, that's helpful
yeah,
because I don't have any relational context, right? I don't have kids, so I don't even
yeah.
think about that. But that's
Well,
awesome. How old is
so
your son?
he's 16, so you're
Okay.
talking about a kid that has grown up not knowing what a world is like without internet.
Yeah, right.
And not only not what a world is like with not what a world's like with not having internet, but not with a world where it's not a thick connection. So he didn't go through the dial-up phases. He didn't go through things of that nature. He's always been in a broadband kind of delivery mode. And so, he's sitting there looking at me, and we live in a rural part of Kentucky, and so satellite internet's our only option right now. And, unfortunately, it has a data cap. And so, there's certain things we can and can't do because of that. And he's looking at me going, but I want to watch all these Netflix shows, and I can't do it because we've got this data cap in place. So we're trying to figure out how to work around that thing. And, and he's got he's probably consuming, 10, 15 gigs worth of stuff a week, easily. And just looking through the different things, and I'm kind of the same way. I'm, between 5 and 10 gigs a week of just stuff I want to do, not counting work things and
Yeah.
all the other stuff going on. So, you start sitting there and looking at this and going, you've got that much data flying back and forth and understanding, and you start just at the point in time you press the key and say send, you are taking a leap of faith that everything from a trust perspective is going to happen the way it should. And
Yeah.
99% of the time it does. It's the 1% that's getting us. And,
Mm.
I don't want to diminish that point because there's some big 1% issues out there that, I don't want my credit card numbers out and available. If you take a political slant of this, it may not really matter because the NSA is probably reading it all anyway. So
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
so and so now my FBI file will grow by a page. So,
There you go.
but yeah, I think we kind of have to, we have to understand that the world is going to rapidly evolve as more data is in abundance, and that we can make, look and make decisions. And I think that's part of it is that we got to start educating everybody on how do you take the data available to you and make better decisions with it. And that, some of that data is not going to be trustworthy because of whatever reason. But you've got to look at those data streams and learn how to manage your risk and deal with the things you got to do, both professionally and personally.
Cool. That great stuff, man. That'll definitely help. So thank you for your time and for your
Oh,
friendship, Earl. I
my
appreciate you a
pleasure.
lot, man.
I appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, if you can do anything, you let me know, okay?
I will do that. Like I said, I'm working some stuff up, so I'll probably reach out to you and we'll talk a little bit.
Cool. I'm around. My
All right.
cell number is on my Facebook page if you lost it, so feel free to grab it, okay?
Okay.
All right,
Very
buddy.